Hello, everybody. My name is Benjamin Bloom. Welcome along to another live stream. We are previewing game week number 29 in the Championship. Not quite the full ticket. Remember, we had a couple of teams play last midweek, and we had Stoke and Swansea play at the weekend while the FA Cup games were going on. But I still see 8 games to look at, and a lot of the big hitters are still in action. Remember the context: the top two sliding in their form. Everybody catching up, but I see a whole spate of draws now. Fulham, Forest, and Brentford all drew their last game, so not quite taking advantage. Down the bottom, huge move by Stoke in the last, I say in the last 4 games, 10 points in the last 4, but 13 in the last 6. So Stoke have pulled themselves out. Barnsley still chasing away, but they're on a poor run as well. Hello to Charlie in the chat. Make yourself known in the chat if you've got any insight on any of these fixtures we are going to talk about. Straight away, we get asked about Augustin for Leeds. We'll do the Leeds game second, and we'll talk about Jean-Kevin Augustin. I'll do my best French accent. Certainly exciting a lot of the Leeds fans today. That news on loan until the end of the season. Anyone can tell me any more about the deal, that would be good. So first off, we have is Cardiff versus West Brom. So Cardiff in 13th, hosting West Brom. We've said West Brom are slipping. Draw, loss. Draw, loss. Not good run at all. Maybe it's their blip for the season. Maybe they're getting it out of the way and they're going to come strong now with 18 games to go. Imagine what the lead was. Ollie says on Augustin, option to buy for 21 million euros. I assume that's dependent on promotion for good old Leeds. So the gap is down to 4 points. Fulham have played that game more, haven't they? Forest now have had the game in hand that we've been talking about for ages and ages. But West Brom not in good form at all. It was the home defeat, wasn't it, against Stoke after everyone else had played. They choked on that live on TV. It was a draw at Charlton. A draw with Leeds, which I think both teams were happy with, but they'd lost at home to Borough prior to that. Drawn at Barnsley. You can see they're just not in good form, although you can say they have played Leeds and Brentford over the last 6 games and not lost to either of them. Cardiff, well, it's still a tricky away game. If I just ping up the home form, Cardiff 6th best form in the league. It's so draw heavy. They've drawn the last 3 at home. They're down in 13th. I expected Harris to do a little bit more in this transfer window. Not entirely trusted with the money yet, but we still have a few days to go, whether we'll be given some of that nice old parachute money, especially given Bobby Reid has completed his transfer over to Fulham. We think about £8 million came in for that. I know that's a loss on the player, but on the books, it's a nice little tickle, and whether Harris will get some of that remains to be seen. Do you know what? I don't see West Brom getting the win here. I think you can probably stick another draw down for Cardiff. Harris will keep it tight. Not sure if Dean Garner is back yet for West Brom, but they're just not firing at the moment. And midweek away trip to Wales and Cardiff, certainly would be the pick-me-up. Obviously, Fulham aren't playing, so a win for West Brom would bring that lead up again to 7 points. But I think I'm going to go for a draw on this one. Let's move on to mighty Leeds, who have been all across the news today, as I think it was Ollie said in the chat, with the signing. So we think it's a loan until the end of the season with an obligation to purchase on promotion for 21 million euros. All sounds great fun, doesn't it? This guy has got big caliber. I think it was Monaco and then Red Bull Leipzig. He went for 11 million. I'm sure Bielsa and Orta have scouted the hell out of him, haven't they? So, exciting there for Leeds. I assume with that being done today, he'll all be cleared and sorted to at least be in the squad or announced or on the bench and waving to everybody. Tomorrow, you'd think, if they've got him, 18 games to go, he should be ready to go. Luke says, feel good back at Leeds. Finally, a good transfer window. Obviously, Ian Poveda coming in as well. That's another wide guy. I wonder whether, I've said for ages they need another centre midfield with Klitsch. I wonder whether they're just saying, look, Hernandez, play central midfield for the rest of the season. No sign of foreshore. So, yeah, let's see how that one transpires. It's Leeds versus Millwall. I have seen both of these teams play in the past 2 games. I saw Leeds lose at QPR. The curse of London, the curse of Benjamin Bloom continues. Oh, Ollie says he is not playing tomorrow. Little Crow says hopefully Leeds show a bit of a match rust after 10 days off. Or maybe they'll show the opposite, Little Crow. Nice rest there with Millwall playing at the weekend in the FA Cup. I think the signing is a good one for Leeds. They need options. They need competition for Bamford. They need a different option for Bamford. That said, I hear all you Leeds fans, they did have one in Nketiah and Bielsa didn't play him. Obviously, Bamford's form kind of hit the floor at QPR, missing that one-on-one and then missing the penalty as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how that's used. Remember, we did see times where it was Roofe and Bamford. Maybe he uses a number 10. Who knows? And he plays both of them. But I don't think that's going to be an issue with this one. Millwall rested their first team guys at the weekend. Wallace didn't start. Bradshaw didn't start. Bodvarsson didn't start. Woods was cup-tied. Millwall always give Leeds a good game, but surely with the announcement of the signing, Nick points out Millwall have got Bart. Yeah, that's gone through today. Bialkowski to Millwall. Ipswich did a lovely job of stitching themselves up in that negotiation, didn't they? Every point down the road. I think it's going to be a close one, but I do think Leeds are going to be back to winning ways. And if my predictions are correct, that will put them back to the top of the league if West Brom draw over at Cardiff, and 6 points above Fulham if they can do it. You would think they'd be up for it. 10 days rest under the lights. Big new signing announced. Let's go for a Leeds victory. We mentioned that Fulham, well, they played in the FA Cup, didn't they? Ollie says Poveda will be in the squad tomorrow. You assume he's on the bench. That's the kind of Jack Clark replacement as the wide player. To have 4 wide players in his squad. Oliver says we have to win tomorrow. On Millwall's point of view, they are 2 points off the playoffs. I just have the feeling that Millwall's season is not defined on Leeds away. I think there'll be other opportunities. Luke says Shackleton and Roberts back fit and available. Really do rate Shackleton. I think can unleash Klitsch a little bit. Little Crow says start of a massive 5 games for Millwall. It's getting to crunch time now. I believe 6th place is up for grabs for Preston, Swansea, Millwall, Bristol City, Sheffield Wednesday, to name just 5 of them. Who have we got? Yeah, so Fulham are not playing. They'll be in action at the weekend. They're at home to Huddersfield. They're a game ahead. So they are going to hope for as many defeats for these top teams and obviously a draw in the game we're about to talk about, which is going to be Forest versus Brentford. So let's go there, Brentford, Forest. And I will be there tomorrow night down at Griffin Park, one of my favourite haunts. One of the last times I will be there. That said, I will be there for the Leeds game. I will be there for the West Brom game as well. Matt says, will I be at the Forest game? Yes, I will. So Matt, if you are around the ground or in the Bramer Road stand, I don't know if you're in the Forest end, do let me know, and you can appear on my vlog if you want to be. You might not want to appear on camera. There you go. Should be a good one, this. CLC says, doubt we'll get playoffs. Don't think we've got a squad for it. I think he's a Wednesday fan, isn't he? Only have a game plan away. We're not brilliant at home. Certainly in the picture, though, Wednesday with Gary Monk. Winning lots of FA Cup games, though. Brentford Forest should be a really interesting game because you can see with the 2 sides and the 2 managers, it all being set up. Yeah, Matt, DM me on Twitter and we'll do something on the vlog beforehand. You can see Brentford having the ball, but Forest are going to be over DJ Skipper heading to the Griffin before we move. Yeah, if anyone's there, give me a shout. You can see Brentford having the ball and Forest not being too bothered about that and trying to pick them off on the counter. Who did Forest bring on loan? Diakabi. So maybe we'll see him. Speed merchant down Shola, Sammy Amiobi's side. You would think got an ex-Premier League player in there. They signed this season that they're going to use him. Lewis says Forest plays a level of opposition at times. Yeah, so I can see that working in Forest. It's going to be a tight one, this one. I find this one really, really hard to call. Obviously, Brentford, on their day, if they get the finishing right, can beat anybody, especially at Griffin Park. Matt says Diakabi should be in the squad. Doubtful he'll start. Yeah, Lamouchi does tend to stick with a team once he's got it, doesn't he? So it's a really, really difficult one to call. If Brentford's finishing is right, like I say, they're always going to create 3 big chances every home game. It's just, can they put them away? And frankly, Watkins and Mbeumo particularly have been putting the chances away. I think Brentford have won something like 6 on the trot at home. Yeah, I've got 6 on the trot up here, 5th best home record in the league. Forest have got the 3rd best away record in the league, only 2 defeats all season. It's setting up for that draw that Fulham want and Leeds want and West Brom want, isn't it? Maybe a low-scoring draw. Forest, with Graben on there, you can always score, can't you? And Lolly seems to be getting going. It's really boring. I don't want this to be the result. I want a decisive result. I'm going to go for a draw. Sorry for giving such a boring prediction, but it's really hard one to call that, the way the 2 teams are matched. 4th versus 5th. In 6th place are Preston, who, forgive me, are not playing. So they're going to have... they've already gotten up to 29 games. Of course, they had the 3-0 victory away at Barnsley, didn't they, midweek? Everyone else drew, didn't they, midweek last week? Forest and Reading and Fulham drew 0-0 at Charlton. So Preston making the most of that little miniature game week there. Preston at the weekend will be at home to Swansea. Moving on, Swansea are in 7th and they too are on 29 games. So a few teams prone there. Fulham, Preston, Swansea all out of action, with teams we'll be expecting to bypass them. So we need to move on and we need to talk Millwall. We've already covered because they are away at Leeds. So in 9th position is Bristol City, who will go to Reading. Typical 8 o'clock game over at Reading. Reading had been on that mass sprint under Mark Bowen, hadn't they? Drawn over the last 3, although I think with 2 of them against Forest. They were, weren't they? And 1 against Millwall. So, yeah, Reading have lost games against teams in form in Forest and Millwall. Bristol City, 3 wins in the last 4. Beat Barnsley last time out, beat Wigan, and have beaten Luton. So you've got this conundrum here now when you're looking at the form. You're looking at Bristol City teams beating the lower likes, and you're looking at Reading only coming unstuck against the upper likes. Animation says Reading got a Luco back. Is that true? Reading 2-2, I think Charlie said in there. I don't want to predict another draw, but everything kind of points towards that. Someone mentioned Naki Wells earlier in the chat. It seems to have been everyone was after Che Adams, Eddie Nketiah, Billy Sharp earlier on. Doesn't seem like anything's happening there. And now Naki Wells has gone back to Burnley today. Burnley know that they can cash in. Why would they loan him out again when he was already on loan? So you're looking at someone who can actually pay. I think Bristol City should still have Webster money, shouldn't they? I assume Bristol City will be in a better position to pay than Forest, maybe. Lewis says Dwight Gale too. Is Dwight Gale still injured? No, he hurt himself in a Newcastle game, didn't he? Sorry, my predictions are boring as hell today. I've got to go for another draw. Reading versus Bristol City. Bristol City only beating the lower teams. Reading only coming a cropper to the kind of top 6, top 8 teams. So we've got to go for a draw in there. Bristol City will probably take the lead and Reading will equalise. I think Charlie, the Reading fan, said that. Could be Norwich, apparently, for Wells as a Pookie backup. That's interesting. Wells could get another Premier League contract, although with no sense of snobbishness. How long Norwich will be in the Premier League, I think they're bottom, aren't they? We don't know. Moving on, Sheffield Wednesday will be visiting Wigan. I think someone said in the chat, CLC, Wednesday set up well to do well away from home. 6th best away record in the league. 3 wins in the last 5 I'm seeing on the form guide. But their home form has gone for a bit of a battering. 3 defeats at home in a row for Sheffield Wednesday. Wigan right entrenched now in that bottom 3, and Stokes catapult up the table. Oliver says, I can't believe you've gone Leeds, not friends now. I'm sorry, Oliver. I do think Millwall will catch back up, but come on, Leeds away is a hard game this season, isn't it? And please be my friend again. Wigan marooned in that bottom 3 after Stokes. Big move. 3 defeats in the last 4. Barnsley have slowed down a little bit now. Huddersfield they're still in it, but they're 5 points gap. These bottom teams, Luton do look a bit spent now with an 8-point gap. 6 points for Wigan. They do look a little bit cut adrift, don't they? I'm going to go with the Sheffield Wednesday fan in the chat, CLC, who said they were set up away from home. Wigan were so good at home. We knew if that home record came a cropper that they'd probably be relegated, because that's what kept them going last season. Lose, lose, draw, 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 lose. Wigan's last 6 at home. Let's go for another away win, a home defeat there for Wigan. Oliver says 1-4-3 at Leeds last time. Classic stuff there, Millwall versus Leeds. Always a fun one with those 2 sets of fans, isn't it? They like a good confrontational atmosphere, don't they? Leeds and Millwall should be good. Right, where are we going next? We've got to talk Blackburn, because it is Blackburn versus QPR. Blackburn still hanging around in the top half, which I think if you're the Blackburn owner, you're giving Tony Mowbray a big slap on the back if he finishes in the top half, given budgetary stuff. Although there are other teams around him, I suppose Millwall are outperforming their spend, so are Preston. Otherwise, Blackburn doing really well under those terms. Blackburn obviously without Dak now for the rest of the season. Charlie says Blackburn for playoffs outside shout. I just think they're a bit weaker than Bristol City, Millwall, Swansea and Wednesday, aren't they? Just in numbers. Good first 11. Downing having a nice little renaissance back in deep line playmaker position with that lovely left foot of his. QPR, Luke says QPR will send Jack Clark back to Spurs. Oliver says 900k for Bart. We've messed that right up. Birmingham bid 3 million just at the start of last season, so complete car crash military. Great signing for Millwall though. Nice work if you can get it. Pay as little as you can. Get a good player there. Where were we? With Blackburn, QPR. Obviously, Naki Wells had been playing very, very well for QPR. Still got Hugel there, haven't they? Options up front, options off the front with Clark now joining Samuel and Eze and Chair, etc. and Pugh there. But it's going to be Hugel all the way now, isn't it? So a little bit less movement up the top there. I think Blackburn are gonna win this one. So let's go for a Blackburn home win over QPR. Where are we going next? Hull in 12th. Hull are at home. Animation says poor old Lumley. Yeah, he's not had the best season, had he? Bless him. In goal for Rangers. Another mistake in the cup. Yes, there was for Lumley. Hull versus Huddersfield. Hull played a lot of first team players, didn't they, in the cup against Chelsea at the weekend. Count the pennies after that one, Mr. Alarm. Huddersfield, yeah, they're still not moving anywhere. Obviously, Stoke have made their big move. Borough have made their big move. Everyone seems to have done it except for Huddersfield. I know they made a big move up from 23rd to out of the bottom three, but hey, they've regressed back down to 21st with everybody else making their manoeuvres. Bowen still hanging around. Doesn't look like anything's going to be happening this transfer window for him. Obviously, people not deeming it value. 1 year of the contract. I think they've got the option, haven't they, Hull? So it's basically a year after this one. So maybe he goes in the summer. Hull had put up a really decent home record, hadn't they? In recent times, they did 3 wins on the bounce, but they have lost the last 2 at home, losing to Fulham and Forest. Both good sides, though. Huddersfield, 1 point in the last 3. That came with a draw at home to Brentford. In terms of the away form for Huddersfield, though, 2 defeats on the bounce. Can you see them keeping Bowen, Grzycki, Irvine out? I don't think you can. Let's go for a home win in that one. Let's go for Hull to beat Huddersfield. Cardiff, we've covered already, haven't we? QPR, we've done. Reading, we've done. Derby, down in 16th, are going to visit Luton. Luke says Hull want too much money for Bowen. No Championship club will pay up front. Can't see a Premier League team taking the risk. Yeah, there you go. If you want that 25 million, that's the Maddison and Sessegnon money, hasn't it? You've really got to be, maybe a couple of years younger and, dare I say, maybe playing at a more upwardly mobile club than Hull. So, yeah, we'll see where Bowen eventually does go. And maybe they need to settle on the fee, especially as that contract gets closer and closer to the end, but certainly no champions. We're just not seeing Championship teams blow 10, 15 million. Oliver says, surprise, Wallace has not been linked to anyone. Did he sign a new contract, Wallace? Am I right about that? I know something had been tweeted by the Millwall account today to that effect. So it's Derby visiting Luton. And since Mr. Rooney's landed at Derby, they've been in rather excellent form. What is that? 11 points from the last 5. Shaylee in the chat says, Meal. She must be a Millwall fan. Or is she downstairs in my kitchen? Oh, Martin says, Izzy Brown back. Excellent. Excellent news for Luton there. Hoping for a run of winning games now. Also, 3 or 4 signings on Friday. Martin's in the know here. Hull will run themselves out of his contract if they're not careful. Well, I think they'll sell for whatever in summer, won't they? Just hope it wasn't being too low a figure. Animation says, imagine Rooney being told 10 years ago he'd have to play away at Luton. Well, I'm sure Mr. Rooney will cope with this. But yeah, on really good form. Obviously, lots of stuff on the FFP. Remember, anything between 9 points, 21 points would be the maximum. All kinds of legal needs to be done in between then. I'm sure it will be somewhere around the 10, 11 points mark, which would drop them down right to 21st place. So Derby do need to keep putting the points on the board, but they're doing it in the league. They're in nice form. Luton, well, Brown makes a big difference. Kenilworth Road makes a bit of a difference. They're just playing so badly. And if anyone saw the compilation clip of Simon Sluga, the club record goalkeeper, Little Crow says playing away has never phased Wayne. Yeah, I don't think Luton's going to bother Wayne Rooney, is it? With 40,000 Scousers screaming at him playing for Man United and invariably scoring at Anfield. It's difficult to see Luton winning, being they've been so bad. It's difficult to see Derby losing because they've been in good form. I hate to twist the knife. I know we've got Martin in the chat, but maybe after Friday and after these signings, whoever they are, Luton go on a run, get Brown back in fit. But let's go for another defeat, I'm afraid, and a Derby victory. 17th, we have Borough, and they are not in action by the look of it. No, so they're going to be a game short. Oh no, they've already played it, haven't they? I'm being very, very thick. They're already on 29. In fact, I think everybody else is done. Did we cover everybody? I think we did. Lovely stuff. Anybody has any questions in the feed, we will have a look at them. Could just have a quick little look over on the transfer lists. Wells and Augustin, the two big new ones. Obviously, Bobby Reid in permanently at Fulham. I suppose they'd already done Hector and they'd already done Reid, but that's a fair old spend this window if you add together the 8 million and the 7 million. I was just saying teams don't do this anymore. Aaron Moyes out of Huddersfield now properly for 5 million, but that was kind of already on the cards, wasn't it? Nick says, will I be at Ipswich on the last day? Yes, hopefully it'll all be done by then. Ipswich on top of League One, should be at the Oxford game as well, Nick. Will Jack Animation says, will Jack Robinson get game time at Sheffield United? Would he play left centre back or wing back? I'm not sure how much he'll get. I saw Sheffield United play at the weekend, and he came on and he played wing back, but that was just to see the game out and move Ben Osborne into midfield. I think he's there as left centre back cover, isn't he, for Jack O'Connell? I know they've got other stuff going on. Luke says, are Leeds going up? Honest opinion. Well, based on the stats of every game they play, they should, because they have the ball for most of the game and create a whole ton of chances. Need to get their form back, but remember, twice under Bielsa, they've done 7 game winning streaks, haven't they? That said, both of those streaks have been in the lead up to Christmas, so I'm sure Bielsa wants to. He says the pressing stats and the running stats don't drop off, but everyone believes that there's a kind of drop off after Christmas. Let's just bang up the Leeds fixtures here and see what they have coming up, because I think we're all looking at that Brentford game, aren't we, coming up? Certainly they've got 4 home games in the next 6, but look, we can tell a lot about Leeds once we get past. They've got 2 away games in 3 days at the start of February. They're away at Forest and away at Leeds. Away at Brentford. They are Leeds, for God's sakes. I think they should be, because you look at this run Leeds they've got Millwall, then they've got Wigan. They do 6 points from that and then 4 from the next. They should be really, really well positioned. Then the games start running out. Just always look at these last run of games. After they play Fulham, which is a big one, on the 18th of March, Leeds go Luton, Blackburn, Stoke, Swansea, Barnsley, Derby, Charlton. That could be a lot worse, couldn't it? But we know how tense things get at Elland Road. It kind of feels like it's now or never for Leeds, though, doesn't it? Will be able to stay if they don't go up? Will they be able to cope with FFP? Will Radrazani bail out? Enzo says, have I been through Brentford Forest? I have, Enzo, and I'll be at the game tomorrow, so you can see a full review of that. I won't for joy. Luke says, so that's a yes. They should get up, shouldn't they? Given that manager, that style of play, they've just got to stop these crazy defeats. And it seems like every time Leeds play badly, that they lose. And they've got to, championship games, you've got to play badly and win or even draw. Martin is asking me about a Barnsley player failing a drugs test. I know absolutely nothing about this. We had another question. Bambo Diaby fails drug test. I mean, he's a good player as well, actually, Diaby, isn't he? But vows drug test following. This is the Daily Mail saying Diaby, huge centre back. He wasn't on growth hormone, was he? Big bloke. Vowed to clear his name, pleaded his innocence. Interesting. Did not know about that. Good point. We'll see how that one pans out. I'm sure there'll be an appeal pending there. Right, brilliant stuff. Do you think Brentford should bring in another striker this week? Asks Chris. I think they wouldn't do them any harm. The brilliant front three, one of them's going to get injured at some point, suspended, or drop off form. I mean, they did sign that Greek chap at the start of the season, and then the guy from the Eredivisie, is he Turkish? Dervisoglu, I think his name is. So there are some options in there, but yeah. Did they bring Force back, or did he go back off to AFC Wimbledon? I don't recall. But yeah, this this is the time to strengthen. And a lot of teams that get promoted do bring in, kind of just pep things up a little bit. So I don't think it would be a terrible idea, but obviously Watkins and Buemo and Ben Rama are superb. So it'd just be to help out really and give a little bit of extra option. Neil Warnock, who's been promoted 1,000 times, would always go for a striker at this point. Little Crow says, who's had the best and worst transfer window? I assume he's hinting at Millwall here, because I think Ryan Woods and Bartosz Białkowski is good signings. I think QPR won't like this window because they've lost Wells. That would be disappointing for them. Also, Charlton losing Gallagher and him ending up at Swansea. Swansea have had a good window with Gallagher and Brewster. That's good. Loan signings. Fulham, you think they've kind of spent money to stand still because they already had Reed and Hector was already there training, and they've dropped a lot of cash, haven't they, Fulham? So they're going to need a return out of that. Nick says last day is when the real transfers happen. Yeah, we'll see a lot of crazy last-minute loans, won't we? Leeds, I think if they bring a midfielder in, could have had a really good transfer window, central midfielder. I've done my Brentford Forest prediction, Enzo. I think it's going to be very, very tight. Brentford having loads of the ball, Forest sitting back. Probably both teams will score. I think it'll be a draw, but as usual with Brentford, we know they'll create chances. If they take them, then they'll win. I know that sounds like stating the bleeding obvious, but it's a nice one set up given how Forest play. They're a good contrast to each other. Forest are good and solid and can attack quickly and get goals, but happy without the ball. Brentford need the ball. So yeah, should be a nice little battle. I'm really looking forward to it. Check out the review. Charlie says, do you think Reading need to sign players who would fit in? Reading have been a bit unlucky, haven't they, with Yao getting injured. They need to keep Swift, which it looks like they're going to do. Where would Reading need to strengthen? Not up top, they're fine. Midfield, I think they're okay. Maybe at the back, I know Liam Moore is well liked, and they've got Morrison in there, but they do play a three quite often, so maybe at the back. But I think Reading has always had a sense the past few years that it just needs all straightening out, and for someone to streamline the squad. And then it always seems they fire someone, and they bring in another 4 players, and then someone else gets fired, and you end up with 3 different managers' players in there. Like Ipswich are now sorting out my team. There's all sorts of still. You got some Mick players and some Paul Hurst, etc. Luke says, is the standard of the Championship poor this season in comparison to previous seasons? It probably is. I think we're starting to see now teams actually really take financial fair play seriously. And we're stopping seeing teams throw loads and loads of money at it, which means you're going to get loan players, but ultimately the quality will go down. The fact that Leeds and West Brom streaked away and they're still up there despite having good runs. I think it is going to drop off a little bit. The only thing that's really going to pep it up again would be if it becomes Premier League 2 at some point and they actually get some Premier League money in there. But yeah, I suppose it has gone to the days where a top 6 Championship team with parachute money goes to a mid-table Championship team, takes their striker for 10 million quid or whatever. Like, I'm sure someone can give an example now. But yeah, I think that is probably it. I mean, don't get me wrong, football-wise, Leeds still fly the flag there. So do Brentford and so do West Brom. Maybe we're a bit spoiled with Sheffield United and Norwich to play great football. Nick says, will Brexit affect the transfer window? My God, apparently so, but I'm not intelligent enough to answer that one. Nick, Brexit confuses me as it seems to confuse the rest of the world. But I think European guys. Animation says, example, Chris Wood to Burnley. There you go. Those transfers don't seem to be happening anymore from Leeds. Yeah, precisely. Right, I think we are there. I will be at Brentford Forest tomorrow, so check out we'll get the review up of that tomorrow night and we'll get the match experience up. If anyone is going, I know we've got some Brentford, I think Matt the Forest fan's going to be there. Please do come and appear in my vlog. Always good to meet you guys from the feed. Just follow me on Twitter or I think the DMs are open, so just DM me and I'll reply and we'll arrange to do that. Lewis, oh my God, I missed 35 minutes. How dare me? How dare you indeed, Lewis? I said such lovely things about Leeds as well, didn't I? You can spool back and watch this. So I'm going to be doing Blue Monday podcast because Ipswich have a mighty big game against Rotherham on Wednesday, which means I'll try and do the review. Nick says Rotherham Ipswich, very big game indeed. Take a point, give me 0-0 right now. We'll try and do the review maybe on Thursday and then we'll preview the weekend's games. I think there's a couple of Friday night jobbies, isn't it? Thanks, Lewis says he's going to watch back after the stream. Yeah, we've got Cardiff and Reading on Friday night. Derby and Stoke. Hardo won for Derby. They're playing Tuesday, followed by Friday. I don't know if anyone's tuned into the FA Cup draw. Let me know. Enzo says Forest transfer window has been very disappointing. Linked with any striker under the sun, but we haven't signed any of them. That striker just hasn't happened for anyone, has it? Bristol City are in the market for a striker. Forest are, and Leeds are. Leeds have gone for it today, but that's put no money back into this league. They've gone cleverly for a loan. Someone's going to get Naki Wells. We'll see who that is. And Nketiah's not coming. Someone could still get Che Adams, but that's going to be mighty expensive, isn't it? Charlie says Reading v Cardiff or Sheffield United. Still a few Championship teams in the. John says desperate move by Leeds. Goodness me. I did just Google this before we came on. The FA Cup is going to be on Wednesday, the 4th of March. So those teams that have got through, who's through? I think Birmingham are still in with Cov, aren't they? Derby have got replay. But they're giving themselves a double 3-game week up at that point. Really difficult fixture backlog right at the start of March, end of February. Northampton or Derby vs Man United, I suppose. Either of them will take the money for Man United coming to visit, won't they? So never a bad thing. Sheffield Wednesday versus Man City. Wow. That'd be fun, won't it? Always good to see Hillsborough sold out. That'd be a sellout, won't it? God, I might fancy that one. No, it's Wednesday night, isn't it? No chance of me getting up north on a Wednesday. Right. I'm going to bid everybody farewell. I've watched half of Kramer versus Kramer last night, so I'm going to watch the other half. Chelsea or Shrewsbury versus... Chelsea versus Shrewsbury or Liverpool. Liverpool reserves as they are. Thank you for smarting me up on all of these. I'll plug it one more time. Brentford Forest tomorrow night. Check out the review of that. Match experience. Then we'll try and review all of these games at some point, probably on Thursday, and then we'll get the previews done on Friday. So thank you as always for watching, especially if you did all 37 minutes. Waffle happy tonight. And again, check out the reviews and whatnot tomorrow. And enjoy whatever game you're in. Send me a tweet, message. Let me know what happened in your team's games. It smartened me up. Thank you to Thunderbolt Lorimer, the great Peter Lorimer, I'm sure referring to there. Right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Over and out.